Running stitch. At the end of this session, you will be able to identify a running stitch from its features, sew a running stitch, determine the applications of the running stitch in different types of garments and products. What is a running stitch? This is what the running stitch looks like. The running stitch is a basic hand sewing stitch. It is usually the first hand stitch that people learn to sew. Notice that the running stitch is a very short and even stitch. Moreover, it is a permanent stitch. How to do the running stitch? Let's first learn how to do the running stitch. Step 1. As you can see here, insert the needle into the fabric from the back at point A and pull it using the knot at the end of the thread to anchor it to the back of the fabric. Step 2. In the next step, you need to insert the needle tip back into the fabric at point B about 1/4 inches from the spot where you pulled your thread for the previous stitch. Now push the needle through the fabric and pull it out at point C. Step 3. Now instead of taking one stitch at a time, weave the needle into the fabric and take multiple stitches. Now pull the needle to make multiple running stitches. This will speed up the sewing of the running stitch. Step 4. Continue working in the same manner, pulling the needle through your fabric to make consecutive running stitches. Step 5. When you finish, end the stitching by taking a small stitch and inserting your needle through the loop, pulling it securely and locking it. That was the running stitch. Now let's watch a video and understand better about running stitches. The running stitch is the most basic hand stitch that simply goes up and down the fabric. Step 1. Start working from right to left. You can also work from left to right if you are left-handed. Step 2. So start by inserting the needle all the way from the back of the fabric and coming to the front and pulling through. The knot at the end of the thread will secure the stitch. Step 3. Now move forward 1/4 inch and insert your needle through and bring it up, leaving again 1/4 inch space. You have made your first stitch. You will notice it is a simple up and down movement. It is very easy. Step 4. You can sew multiple stitches instead of taking single stitches. Weave the needle and thread through the fabric like this and pull through. So move forward taking multiple stitches. The key to a nice looking running stitch is to be consistent in your stitch length and the interval between the stitches. You can play around with the running stitch by changing the distance between the stitches and also changing the length of the stitches. You can take longer stitches with shorter intervals and that changes the look of the stitch. But to keep the stitch looking nice, you want to be consistent across your whole line. Step 5. When you are done, finish the running stitch by taking a small stitch and inserting the needle through the loop and pulling it tight to create a knot. Do it twice to secure the knot. So that is the running stitch. It is a very easy stitch and worthwhile to know. This is what the right side of the running stitch looks like. And this is what the wrong side of the running stitch looks like. Applications of the running stitch. Now that you have learned how to do the basic running stitch, let's see its different applications in garments and other products. The running stitch is one of the most popular stitches used for a wide range of purposes, starting from garment making to embroidering various articles like pillow covers, dresses, scarves, blankets, saris, cushion bags, purses, lampshades, curtains, table mats, and bed covers. It is used for fine seaming of garments, that is, joining two pieces of fabric together. For tucking, that is, to pull up into fold or folds. In other words, to draw up into a folded arrangement. For mending and repairing torn garments. It is often used for making leather articles such as jackets, belts, and purses, and other products like baskets, bags, etc. Taking the stitch one step forward, you can also use it for making gathered skirt or a gathered sleeve. How to make these gathers using the running stitch you will learn in one of the upcoming sessions. With that, we've come to the end of this session. Before we conclude, let's recall what we have learnt in this session. You have learnt that the running stitch is a basic hand sewing permanent stitch and that it is a short and even stitch. The way of doing the running stitch is a simple up and down movement. You can even quicken the sewing by weaving the needle and thread to make multiple stitches instead of making one stitch at a time, which could be a laborious task. The running stitch is used for a wide range of purposes, starting from garment making to embroidering various articles. Take our next session to learn how to make seams using the running stitch.